you guys doing? My name is Carlos, and this is Ryan, and we are the hosts of Dancer's Journey podcast, where it is a new platform where we're bringing different experiences from different people around the world, and what they've come to learn and what they will come to pass on in terms of knowledge-wise, because everyone has a different experience. So, as our first guest, we had on Javier Vasquez and Julissa Peña, and they're the owners of Vida Dance Company, where they teach Mambo on two. All right, and as one of the first guests, we chose them because they have a huge following of students who look up to them, and would definitely love to learn from their past experiences of what they've had to overcome and everything like that. So in this podcast, we talk about different things. So for example, we go into how Vida Dance Company started. We talk about their experiences as a dancer. We talk about their experiences as an instructor, as a student, what it means to be a good student, and obstacles that they faced along the way to get to where they need to be. Yeah, and we hope you guys enjoy this video. We are going to keep on going and interview more people because we know how important these experiences are. They might help you or they might help someone else that you know. And I hope you guys can give us a quick like, subscribe, share on all the different platforms that will be coming out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and a couple more social media. So definitely give us a follow on Instagram at Dancer's Journey Podcast. And hope you guys enjoy the video.
Got that lightning inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made. How legends are made.
All right. Well, welcome to A Dancer's Journey podcast by Carlito and Ryan. So, real quick, this is our very first podcast, so just a little bit of some introductions. Again, my name is Carlos, and this is Ryan, my co-host right here. So, just in case if you guys don't know us, we've been dancing here at Vida Dance Company for the past couple years. And right here we have the founders of Vida, Javier and Julissa. Well, welcome guys.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting us and having us in your show. Especially the first one. Makes it epic.
So, in terms of this podcast, we are here to give each other's reflections and experiences. So, basically, we're here to give you guys a small interview and to see how you guys came to be and your guys' perspective on dance itself. So, and to be more specific, what's the style of dance you guys do specifically?
So we're on two dancers, Mambo on two. That's pretty much what we've been dancing for the last 15 years. Myself and Julissa.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Now, so real quick, let's see. So, in our mission to help diverse the dancing scene, we like to see where people come from, what their upbringing is, and so for example, like where did you guys learn Mambo onto, or how long have you guys been dancing for?
You want to go first, Julie?
So we started at Lorenz in Glendale with Howie Lorenz, and we've been dancing ever since. We started back in 2008. We were just taking classes on Saturday night, and that's how we started.
Wow. Did you ever think it would end up becoming this, having your own dance studio in the Bronx?
No. I thought I was just going to learn some steps, go to the club, and ta-da! Then you come addicted to it. So
now what do you do when you go to the club?
I don't dance in the clubs. I only dance in social environments.
So you don't even go to clubs anymore?
Nope. That's not my life anymore.
Now she's bringing the gift of dance to everyone. So real quick, how long you guys said since 2008, right? Was like the Latin dancing Mambo onto your first style of dance, or did you guys dance prior to that?
Nope, that was the first time we ever took classes, and we only danced Mambo onto.
And what drew you to the style of dance, I guess?
Like I said, I just really wanted to take classes to learn how to dance some basics. And, like everybody says, I just want to turn. I just want to turn. And yeah, turning became addicting. And here I am.
Perfect. And okay, so now our first major question. When you guys first started dancing, what were your, I guess your feelings of taking your first steps? Like, what was that like? Was it just kind of like another Saturday? Was it just, oh, I'm looking forward to making this something big, or I'm looking forward to doing something with this further in the future? Like, what were your first thoughts when you guys first started?
Right. Were you guys nervous or anxious or curious?
Well, first of all, I was not thinking of it as a profession. That's number one.
Right.
I just wanted to learn how to dance with my girlfriend, Julissa. And we wanted to just have some moves so we can go show off at the club like most people want to do. But it became more than that, like she said. It became something that you enjoy going to class once a week. And then once a week became twice a week. And then she joined a student dance team, which I wasn't really a part of initially, just because I was not as committed as she was. But once I saw her commitment to dancing and her development and her dance journey, I started stepping up my game, and I was playing catch up pretty much because I was watching the Knicks every Friday night while she would go social dancing.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I had a lot of catching up to do.
Was there any like any times where you guys like feeling anxious or like I guess like scared to progress as a dancer or anything like that?
I'll speak for myself. As I was picking up some moves, I was progressing, but my progression was a lot slower than hers. I'm someone that needed a lot of practice, while she can see it once and just instantly do it, right?
Yeah.
So, we were two different types of learners, right?
Right.
So I wanted to, I had to work a little hard on achieving
Right.
my goals as a dancer, but I never thought that I was going to be an instructor or teach others or inspire others to learn this dance.
Right.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, because when I first started, I was definitely I was a little nervous. I'll be honest, because because we started all in the same company, and when I very first saw the advanced dancers doing all of their I guess fancy moves, at first I just didn't feel like I was ready for that, like, at all. Like to me it was very intimidating. Like now, a couple of years later, you start getting a couple moves under your belt. But I feel like everyone comes across that path at some point where they just feel like they get some type of doubt, or they just get some type of look towards that mountain where you're just like, damn, now I got a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
It's
That-
intimidating.
That actually does happen to everybody. For me, my first time seeing Grisel Ponce on stage, I was like, I'm never going to be that good. Oh my God, she's like perfection. To me, she was perfection. And yeah, like that gave me that little doubt there. I was like, oh my God, like I have to like learn. I thought like that you have to be dancing since you were like a little kid in order to pick it up. And then, then you start seeing that, yeah, you can learn, you can progress little by little.
Like at first it feels like you have two left feet, right? And then as soon as you start getting into it little by little, then everything becomes easier, right? All right. What about you, Ryan? Because you, out of all of us, I think you're the one with the least amount of years under your belt, right?
That's right. So I have about 4 years. I've had the pleasure of learning from everyone at this table on how to dance. When I first started dancing, I wasn't even expecting to do anything. Like I came off of engineering school and I was like, all right, I need something new, something interesting in my life. And all of a sudden, I'm on the phone with Edwin and I'm like, all right, I didn't even know it was Edwin at the time, right? I'm just calling the studio like, all right, how much are dance classes? And he was like, it was $20 a class. And I'm like, do you give the first one for free? And they were like, no, but if you come over here, we'll give you a good time. And then I was like, do I need any dance shoes? And he was like, no, you don't. Just come, just be over here. And then, I came, and then one thing led to the next. I think I didn't talk to anyone for the very first month. I'm a very shy, recluse person. I'll stay in the corner. I'll do what I gotta do. I'll go home. After a month, I met Christian. We started hanging out. After I met Christian, then I started coming to social. But I didn't come to social till like 3 months into it. and I'm just seeing people doing crazy stuff. Like, it's not basic, like, 1, 2, 3. It was like people doing like, triples and all these other different things. I'm like, whoa, how do you guys do that and stuff like that? You guys were doing it so casually and so elegantly and effortlessly. It was like I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Everything was just like going so fast.
Yeah, I agree. Everything looks so effortlessly at first, and then once you start learning, you're just like, oh, this is not easy. Like, it's just, every single move, you got to be precise. You got to make sure you're doing this, you're doing that. Your body's moving this way, not that way. Oh man. But you said you're an engineer, right? Or you went to engineering school?
Right. I studied chemical engineering at a university in the state called the Cooper Union. And then after that, I came here while I was doing my master's degree, and I was simultaneously working. Yeah. Did you want me to go into specific?
Oh no, the reason why I bring that up because I think we all have I think we all have professions outside of dancing, right? So like for example, all dancers, no matter where they come from, they all are gonna feel that common trait at first. Like if you guys notice too, right? Or is it just me?
Yeah. Are you talking specifically about socials or just dancing?
Just dancing in general, like no matter the background, no matter where you come from, like no matter what profession you have, everyone like comes across those struggles at first where they think it's easy at first, and then as soon as you get into it, you're just like, damn, there's a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
I think with anything that you're picking up at the beginning, right? It seems like you have an uphill climb, right? But you don't look at the top of the mountain. You look at your next step.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
if you can keep that as a dancer in your mind and perspective and have that perspective, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. So for me, I just came into the conclusion that I'm not gonna look up at the mountaintop. I'm just gonna make sure that I see the next step. And if I had my mindset develop and work towards that goal, then it makes things so much easier for your experience.
Right.
Okay, so in terms of like, what would you give, for example, those same feelings of having to overcome, having to grow more as a dancer? What advice would you give to someone that's starting out that's feeling those same feelings right now as a new dancer is becoming, as a new dancer is joining the scene, I should say? What advice would you give them in terms of what to do with that feeling, or how they should look at it, what their mentality should be?
I mean, you can't avoid the feeling, right? It's gonna happen regardless, right? Everybody feels the same thing, especially if you come to a social for the first time and you see everyone dancing, having a good time, and you get overwhelmed just by them doing their thing. I just say get in, right? Start dancing, have a little fun. Don't pay no mind to everyone else, and just focus on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just focus on what you're doing in the moment. Stay in the moment, and don't worry about everything else.
Right.
What do you think, Julia?
Same. I think the same. I try to tell everybody just come. Just come to social or go to a social and grab any girl. I mean, don't be afraid. Nobody's going to bite you. All right? And if they do, then you can sue.
That's good.
And on top of that, when you see top dancers, and I know it seems intimidating, but my advice now, if I go back to, my first days of dancing, just challenge yourself with the best dancers, right? Because when you dance with more experienced dancers, you're going to learn something about yourself and about the actual movements.
Yeah. It's okay if, it feels like they didn't want to dance with you. It's okay. That feeling is more like you feel that, not necessarily that they feel that. But you're it's because you're intimidated, you assume, oh my God, they're probably hating this dance. No, I actually enjoy dancing with beginners because, I enjoy seeing the effort. More than the ones that don't want to dance. Then it's like, oh, that person doesn't even want to try. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first went to my first social, fun fact, I actually only danced 2 songs out of the whole 3 hours that I was here. I was so nervous
That's
that
also
day.
my number.
Yeah. Like
How many was it? How many?
Two. Exactly two.
And it's funny though, because I had to be asked to dance for when I very first my first social.
Me
I had
too.
to be asked.
Yeah,
To
same.
Me too.
Because I was so nervous. I was like, everyone looks so better than me. And
Yeah.
looking back at it now, it's just like, God damn.
Do you remember who asked you for your first
I was
dance?
just
Oh,
about
yeah,
to ask you
100%.
that. Do you remember your first dance? Because I
I-
think everybody remembers their first dance.
I
Just
definitely
because
do.
it's your first, like a kiss, your first kiss. You always remember your first kiss.
Yes, you do.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
All the
Damn.
men
But-
remembered.
It must
the
have been.
old version of me, the when I first started, I wouldn't ask guys, like especially if they were good. Like I'm like, oh my god, they don't want to dance with me. But now, me, I don't care who you are. I'm going to ask you, but in a good way. I ask nicely always. I always like to challenge myself.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, oof, my first social. I think I only did. It's funny because I went in 6 months of already me knowing stuff, but even though I've been dancing for that amount of time, 6 months, and you would think that you would have a couple moves under your belt. I really didn't. I just stayed on basic. I did a crossbody lead one of those 2 dances.
So after your first social, how long did it take you to go back to your second social?
Actually, 2 months. It actually took me 2 months
Yeah.
to go back because I felt. I'll be honest, like, because I was a very. I wasn't confident at the time, like,
Right.
because again, it feels intimidating at first, even though like they say everyone is friendly and everything. To you from me, from my perspective at least, it was very intimidating. Like I just didn't feel like I was ready, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna come back
Right.
in 2 months. Maybe it might be better, and it was a little bit. That time I danced 3 times.
You did more than me because I think it took me to come to my first social. I probably came in like after 4 months of dance
Yeah,
of dance
it was
classes.
like 6 months. I
Yeah,
think
you
it was
told
like
us.
6 months.
It was a pretty long time before I took my first social, and that's probably one of the things that held me back in the beginning was not coming to socials, right? Because I'm not applying what I'm learning in class, and what happens when you finish class is that you start forgetting your moves. You don't even
Yes.
realize it that you're
Yeah.
forgetting. It's just
Yeah.
time is passing, and your mind is just in a cloud.
Right. I remember one of the first things you taught me was you forget 80% of what you know within 48 hours.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's definitely a fact. Cause I swear to God, once a week you think is enough, but it really is just like working out. You can't just expect the results in one day out of the week. Like, you always got to take at least 5 minutes just to like practice a move or 2 moves, just to make sure at least it's still in your head. Even if it's not perfect, I just feel like at some point everyone just should take at least 5 minutes to practice what they got to practice, just so it helps them in their next
Yeah, so
It's an effort.
in the new classes now, or in the beginner classes, I always tell my students, practice 5 minutes a day. That's one song. Like, if you're really enjoying yourself in the class, then imagine you doing this at home, even by yourself, practicing 5 minutes a day, what it will do for your growth as a dancer, right? I wish I would have done that in the beginning because I didn't know that, but if I would go back and tell myself something to help myself, help the cause, I would do
Right.
that 5 minutes a day.
Right.
That is a game changer.
Nice.
Yeah. Oof. After that second social, about like maybe 6 months later, I just try to keep challenging myself. Like I kept on like. Well, actually, that there was one social where I literally danced every song minus 2 songs, but that helped tremendously because I got to learn like what I should do when it comes to leading her in a certain direction or
Right.
leading myself to commit to a step or anything like that. It really did help. Like honestly, like I always I agree with you, and I tell my beginners the same thing. Like just come to social. Like take 5 minutes, do something. But
Right.
some progress is better than no
So,
progress.
so your first social, after your first social, it took about 2 months to come to your second social. So then, when did you start feeling comfortable?
Yeah,
this is a question for
for me.
I was
For about a year?
A year in.
Yeah.
And that was coming to social like, either every other week. I think it was every other week I was coming, and then after that it turned to every week, and then after that I was doing back-to-back socials. We used to do it Saturdays, but I think Fridays used to be Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, and then I would do it back-to-back. Like that would be my warm-up for today, for the next day.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were getting double the work, so that actually
Right.
helped you probably speed up your process internally, because everybody's process I think is a little different.
Very different.
100%. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, everyone has like a different learning curve. Like I noticed that like some people, I mean, some people depending if they're committed enough, they can get almost a year's worth of learning within a couple months. Some people
Yes,
can do
yes.
it in a year's worth of learning within like 10 years, and if they don't practice enough. Like there are people out there where I mean, I'm sure you all noticed where some people they may have been dancing for quite a bit of time, but their fundamentals of what they should have been practicing before aren't as sharp as they should be. Yeah, like definitely we should always all go.
Oh, there's the Chinese guy.
Just to let you guys all know, we're live from Castle Hill in the Bronx. You guys might hear like fire trucks in the background. Like people taking out stuff. Casual, normal, regular
Normal
Bronx stuff.
stuff.
How about you, Julie? When did you start? I'm curious because I don't know this question for you. How long did it take you to start feeling comfortable?
So
On the
for
social
me, I think it's different because I became addicted to social dancing. That's my favorite thing. I love social dancing more than anything else. Like, there's people that just like to perform, go on stage, but they don't social dance. But for me, social dancing is like everything.
Right.
So I became addicted. I was in session 73 on Mondays, iguanas on Tuesdays, the copas on Wednesday, cachet on Thursdays. I was in every social addicted. Like, I think I didn't have a job.
Your job was social dancing.
My job was social dancing, and I was growing fast, like picking up fast.
Right.
And the feedback was always like, oh my God. And I was getting like so excited. I just love social dancing.
Right. Quick thing right here. We said earlier, Carlos asked Javier for advice that he would give himself when he was starting. Question for you. Same question for you. What advice would you give yourself when you first started dancing?
Let me see. Not to be intimidated. Like, I just feel like when I used to see like the stars or the pros, like I used to get like very intimidated, and then you start to feel a little small, and you're like, oh my God.
Mind you, I think of you as a pro. I need you to know that.
So not that I don't like that word, but yeah. The pro word is like so like makes people feel like, oh, that person is better. And I don't like to feel like that. So like when the great dancers, the great performers, like I will go back and ask them to dance. I will go back. I will challenge myself. I wouldn't challenge myself at first like that. It took me a couple of years to start feeling comfortable to go ask like the really good dancers.
That's because they don't ask, right?
Sometimes they don't ask, but it's okay. I mean,
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that.
that sometimes they're tired from a lot of practices, and
Yeah. We don't
This
live an
is-
easy life, guys.
yeah, it's a hard life to dance and then social dance all 3 days and be a strong dancer every single day, and you're tired sometimes.
Right.
But
That is
yeah,
true. Yeah, it does take a lot.
You
Like,
guys
it takes
wanna-
a toll out of your body, and like after a while, you just want to take a little bit of take a moment just to relax or whatever.
but I would go back and I would ask all the guys that I wanted to dance with, and yeah.
One thing I would say to all dancers: treat your body like an athlete, because sometimes because we're in the arts, we don't treat our bodies the right way, right? Some of us might drink too much on the weekends, right? And then we're not as young as we used to be, so we don't recover as fast.
Yeah.
So, when you're a dancer and you're like, wanting to set goals for yourself as a dancer, I would say, set goals and take care of your body as
Right.
well, right? Take care of your body, get some sleep, hydrate, right?
Yeah.
All these things are going to help you along your journey.
I would definitely go back and tell myself, work out, because you can get an injury faster when you're not
Healthy.
healthier.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any injuries?
Yeah,
you
I'm
had to deal with?
broken. I'm completely broken.
What exactly
All right.
happened, or like what happened?
Oh,
What are some injuries that you've had dancing?
I ripped my groin.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh my
she
God.
just
Nice
like brushed
split.
right over that.
Yeah, like
It was
you-
nothing.
Doing what?
A split.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. When you're young, you think nothing can happen to you. And then now you're older and you're like, okay, I can feel that. I can still feel that. And it happened 10 years ago or whatever.
Well, to any of the youngins watching, you hear this right now. Just be careful out there. 'Cause
Stretch before you dance.
stretch before you dance.
Conditioning. You have to do conditioning in your body.
You do.
Yeah, even for social dancing, like it's not the norm. Most people won't warm up before social
Right.
dancing,
Yeah.
but I do. I don't. I'm not gonna go a full out stretch, but I am gonna.
Limber up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know,
I
do
do
some
the same
side.
exact thing. I'm like, all right, let me just.
I roll
let me
I
move
roll my neck a
body.
little bit, roll my shoulders a little bit, move my hips a little bit because as you get more miles on your body, because the more dancing you do, the more miles you're putting on it.
Right.
You're gonna need to do things like that to maintain, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do this for a long time.
Right. Right.
Forever.
Yeah, this oof. We know like people in their 70s, their 80s still dancing that still
Yes.
enjoy life. Like this is a great like active activity just to keep yourself up and running.
I'm
keep
planning
yourself
to live
moving.
to 100, so
Yeah. You need something to.
Look at Eddie Torres, man. He's here. He's 72 and he's moving.
He's still going.
He's still going,
yes.
right?
Just in case for those that don't know, Eddie Torres is the Mambo King. He has been dancing since how long has he been dancing? Do you guys know?
50 plus years.
Oof. Yeah, that was way before.
I mean, he's been dancing since he was born. Maria says this all the time. He came out the crib dancing,
Yeah.
right? She says this all the time in the classes. So there's just some people are just born with it, and then there's people like me that I started late. I was a late bloomer. I started when I was 25.
Okay.
Julie was like 23. So, it all depends on.
And you see that man
person.
happy.
Wait, Carlos,
That
how
man
old were you when you started?
Oh, when I first started, I was 14 actually.
All
He's
right,
a
okay.
baby.
Yeah. Oof. Like I came out like walking, but I at least came a little late.
You walked into the
I
studio.
walked into the studio. I said, "Oof, let me learn this real quick."
Why do you think you said something earlier that kind of like hit? You said dancers are the happiest people.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because it's a form of communication that, in my opinion, that is not like other communication where you can talk about your feelings, but you can actually feel how a person is when you're social dancing with them.
Oh yeah, it's like it's like sign language. You're not really saying anything, but you're just communicating with signs, right?
Right.
But that's exactly what it is. I think
Yeah.
you're internally talking to each other, and that's a crazy chemistry that happens in the dance floor that really nobody talks about as much as you think.
Yeah, like I feel like is it just me or like have you ever noticed that like some of the dancing you can kind of tell how their personality is? Like for example, a person that is a little rough around the edges, you can tell how they are when they dance. Or is it just me?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like you can feel their personality through their dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. Yeah, for sure.
Like as a follower, like do you feel that from the men that you dance
Yeah.
with? Like you can tell like some guys.
And I love like just giving in to like that feeling of whatever it is that they want me to express. Like I don't know. If you want to be an angry dancer, I could be an angry dancer too. I could be mad. If you want to be a smooth dancer, forget about it. Like butter.
Which brings me to the question. This is going to be a little bit of a spicy question, but what do you think of Javier through his dancing? Like, how can you tell? I mean, you guys know each other right off the bat, but let's say you were a stranger and you just met Javier. How would you describe his dancing to his personality?
So he's a very patient person and smooth. And he's all about, like, what I like about him is that it's not about him, the dance, it's about the female, which it should be for everybody, by the way.
100%, I agree.
And he's not like, ha, 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 like doing, like, just going crazy. He's not about that. He likes the smoothness and the flowing of the music. And then he could go crazy too, if you want, right? But his style is like the Latin God. Suave.
The Latin God, I like that.
By the way, that was a nickname that he was given in Cancun by some lady that said that he looks like the Latin God.
Whoa, I wonder if she's gonna see this video. This would be interesting.
That nickname stuck for the whole
Yeah.
trip. We were on vacation and this lady just calls me,
Latin
shouts out, and we're in the middle of the pool, and she's like, "Is that the Latin God?"
And she was from North Carolina with a heavy accent, so it was
That's good.
very.
Yeah, it was funny.
By the way, I mean to ask you guys this for a little while. Why did you name your company Vida Dance Company?
That is a very good question. I did notice that because that's what I was curious about that too.
So we were thinking of a lot of names, and you know, like anything, like when you're trying to come up with a something that is catchy, but also personal, right? So we were crossing off names, and we came up with Vida. And the reason we stuck with that name is because we wanted to change people's lives, right? And not only change their lives, but inspire people. I wanted to change the culture in our school. Not that it was bad before, it was really good, but I wanted to make sure that when we open up with the rebranding of Vida, that it spoke to a lot of people, right? So that was part of the reason. You know, Vida wasn't like something that we always wanted to, like. It just came up. That name came up, and actually Edwin, remember Edwin, our manager?
Yeah.
Well, he helped us with the name, and I was like, you know what? I like that. That's a really good name. And then it stuck because of all those things I just mentioned. We wanted to speak to a lot of people, and we wanted to change the culture. We wanted to inspire people.
Bailar es vida.
Yeah, oof. And by the way, I love the logo. By the way, I always tell people this, but I love the logo because it's you guys on the logo, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the outline
Sometimes
of
I
them.
look at it, I'm like, oh my god,
Whose idea was that? Just out of curiosity.
me.
Figured. Oh
Back
man.
then I had long curly hair. I was like, I need people to know I have long curly hair, so it has to show. And now I cut it. Yep.
I think we went over this, but when you guys were mentioning about like advice that you would give back to yourselves when you were younger, in terms of obstacle wise, is there anything that you guys overcame as a dancer that was difficult from a time?
Repeat that question.
I got you. So, for as long as you guys have been dancing, I know you guys would give yourself a certain piece of advice, but was there any huge obstacle in your dancing career that I guess you can say to kind of relate to others?
Like purely as a dancer.
Yes,
You're talking.
just purely as a dancer.
I had trouble with timing. My hiccup for a long time. I was a year dancing. I was a year into dancing, and I was having trouble picking up the pulsation, the
Yeah.
rhythm of the music. And a lot of people are like that, like me. Like it's not just some people;
Right.
it's a lot of people.
No,
that can't
it was
find
me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
now yeah, I was saying now I don't feel bad anymore because that was me.
Right.
That took
Yeah.
me like a whole year and a half.
Right.
Even now.
I remember when you first described how to feel that one, right? And I've debated, like, I've theorized other ways to try and describe it to other people, but I can't find a better way than the one you described to me the first time. It's that deep bass that you find, and you start your count based off of that deep bass. Like sometimes a lot of dancers, they'll confuse the 1 and the 5 a lot of the times, and of course you can still dance on the 5, 6, 7 going like the other way around. But you know, it's more appropriate to, like, for the men to take the 1 back as their first step. But yeah, it's a tricky thing for a lot of people when they very first start. If especially they're coming not from a musical background, it's like, you know, how do I count this music, right?
A lot of people also sometimes when they join, like we get this a lot, and I'm pretty sure that everybody that does beginner classes gets this. At first, you have people that just want to learn moves. They're like, I don't want to count. I don't want to participate in this counting thing. Or like old school people, like they're like, counting? What is that? Like you're like really like against it. And sometimes it takes a couple of months, or sometimes even up to a year for certain students to understand that it's not going to work if you do not learn about musicality, or, you know. So it's important to try to encourage the student from the beginning that it is important, that it's not just come and learn some moves, because it's not going to work. This is not something for you to do in the club. And you have to get into the sport, and the sport requires for you to learn timing.
Yeah, I definitely agree because I always tell my classes that whenever you're dancing with someone, you're dancing with someone else. It's not like it's just me, 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 me.
Right.
Like unless you're doing shines, and for those that don't know, shines are basically footwork away from your partner. But if you're dancing with someone, you're dancing with someone else. That's good. If you don't do your timing right, you're also messing up your partner. Which
Right.
if they know their timing, they're gonna be like, "What's going on with this guy?" Or
Yeah.
like I'm sure you've come across like a lot of guys that, to this day they'll probably still need a little work on their timing, right?
Yeah, and what I try to tell my students all the time is that it's a sport. And let's say if you're playing baseball, you're not going to show up to practice without your glove or your bat. So it's a sport. Buy your shoes, protect your knees, learn your timing. Learn. Don't just do it like if it's just como un pasatiempo. And it's not just a pasatiempo or something for just exercise. You have to be mindful that other people are taking it serious, and that if you're going to meet at a social, we both should be putting in the effort to play the sport correctly.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's see. In terms of like people who all right, because I'll say this. I noticed that after about a year or so, some people, well, after a couple months even, some people take it more of like a career. Some people take it more as a hobby. Some people take it, just as just dancing. But in terms of those who have, I guess, not because of circumstance, but have stopped because they just didn't see results. What would you say to them that would kind of restart their mentality, or like what would you give those who have quit before getting major results? What advice would you give them?
I would say a couple things. Did you go to class consistently? Did you make it to social at least once or twice a month? Did you talk to your peers, right, about whatever questions you had, and then did you practice with your peers? Like, you don't have to come to a social to practice. You can practice for a few minutes with your friend or your peer in class and start gaining confidence there first, and then come to the social and practice some more. It's all going to come down to practice. I think if you put in the time, your confidence will go get higher, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be comfortable when you don't feel like you know something. You only feel comfortable when you know that you put in the work,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's my advice.
How much effort was that person putting on? And then,
Yeah, because everybody's going to have certain different goals too. Going back to, what Julie was saying, every dancer has different goals. In the beginning, I wasn't, like we said, we weren't planning to become professional instructors, professional dancers. We were just wanting to do something as a couple, to do as a hobby once a week, right?
Yeah.
Saturday afternoons, evenings, that was our dance class. We were, we didn't have a plan in the beginning, but once we started going, I think it's better to have small little goals, right, for yourself. So that way you can, grow faster. But not only that, it's also good to take a moment and look back at how far you've come, because that's going to tell you a lot about what you're doing in the moment. For instance, if I'm taking 4 months of classes, right? And I know my foundation, my basic, my crossbody leads, my right turns, my left turns, right? You know your foundation, and then you've been coming to social on a consistent basis. You're going to see in that 4 months that dancer grow, and they look back and be like, man, I've come a long way. I didn't even know how to take my first basic, right? But you have to be consciously aware of that, right?
Yeah.
And have the right perspective on where you are in your journey as a dancer. You don't expect to be 4 months in and be a professional,
Right.
right? But you can be conscious and be like, man, I got 4 months in and I know how to do a crossbody lead. I know how to do a right turn on time, right? And that's going to build your confidence up. And then 6 months later, reevaluate where you are as a dancer again. And like you do that every so often, you'll be like, oh man, I'm seeing growth. The thing is that we don't take time to do that. So that way, that since we don't take time to analyze our dance growth, we feel like we're not growing.
Yeah.
But you are. Because when you first started, you didn't know anything.
Yeah.
That is true. That deserves a.
Oh, I like that sound effect.
Very true.
That's pretty dope. So, yeah, because I pretty much agree. Because in terms of like fundamentals wise, the fundamentals are always going to be like the newer moves that you know, because those are always again fundamentals. Do you feel like it should be more move centric or more fundamental centric? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear you say it.
I mean, it depends. I feel like you need to have a strong foundation. So it's going to always start with the basics. And then once you have your basics down, then you focus on the movement, right?
Yes.
You have to have a good structure, right? So the basics is that. The basics is your structure.
I always say if you have a good basic with body movement, with timing, and you can do it 100 times to 100 different songs, then there's nothing that you cannot learn. I mean, you can learn. I mean, you can see your progress. But when you're focused, especially the male, when you're just focused on all the hand tricks and all this and that, but you have a not a so good basic, then it's just like it's pointless to me. And it might not be. It might not be because then eventually your basic will catch up. But I think fundamentals are so much more important than all the hand tricks. Because once you master that, the hand tricks just flow. They're easier to...
Because once you have your timing down and you have your basics down really well, then all the tricks, right? When you learn them and because the tricks is about practicing them so it can be part of your repertoire. It's all about muscle memory because some moves come easier to you than other moves, right? You ever notice when, as a leader, you end up doing the move that you didn't think that it was going to come out of that sequence, but it always happens to come, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? It comes to you easier. So the ones that don't come easier, that means you have to practice those a little more.
Right.
Because or at least the base.
It's all about muscle memory, I think.
Yeah, at least like the base of it. Like I feel like again that goes back to that with like muscle memory. Because the harder moves, if people really look closely, it's always the more basic moves in terms of footwork wise. It may not look like it on top, but most of the stuff that looks a lot more tricky or stuff that most people know is just it's been fancied up. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to what we were talking about earlier with dancing, and Julie mentioned, about leaders thinking about themselves more not about their partner. Like if your partner doesn't have a smile on her face, you better analyze what you're doing. Like if you see her like not having a good time and like with her eyes behind her head, then you're not really paying attention. Like when you're dancing with a person, make a little eye contact first, right? Make a little eye contact. Take your time with that dancer and build that chemistry. Don't go right into the hard moves right away, right? Start with the basics, right? And once you get into the flow of the music, I feel like then you can start testing out your moves and your leads as you progress in the music. Right, and then of course you want to pay attention to that's another subject. Like you want to pay attention to the music as well, because the music is going to dictate a lot of what you do on the dance floor. So, but I would say for a beginner, right, make a little eye contact, have a little chemistry on the dance floor. Keep it simple in the beginning of the dance, and then start moving into harder moves, so you can build your confidence up. And that's sound advice, I think.
Yeah, it really is a lot of mentality. Like, if you say you can't do it, you're not gonna be able to do it. Like,
very true.
A lot of times, like people quit on themselves before they even give it a full shot. Like, I have noticed that, and it sucks because then you're just like, damn, you could do it. It's just you gotta believe in yourself. You need that confidence. But most of the time, not most, but sometimes some people just don't keep going.
Another thing that can help, do you have a dance partner that you can work on your moves with?
Right.
See, for couples is a little easier, but there's a double-edged sword to that because, like for me and Julie, I consider her my mentor coach because she's always pushing me to get better.
Yeah.
All right, because remember what I said initially, she learns things on the fly, while I have to work a little more at it. Well, there's dance couples have a little easier time, but I would say be careful with over practicing with your partner.
Yeah.
You just can get conditioned for one person.
Yeah, because if you're having like issues on that week with your partner about whatever it is that is going on in your life,
And you mess up your basic.
and you mess up with your basic, that's gonna come out on the dance floor.
Oh Lord.
But for those that don't have partners, like couples, right, grab a friend. Hey, let me try this move.
Class
That's
move.
actually the best way, like I think.
Right.
Right? Grab a friend from class.
I agree.
And you're not going to be worried about them, correcting you or anything because you guys are doing it together and you're learning together.
Yeah.
Right.
Like after a while, like well, I mean it depends. If for example, if a beginner is just starting out, I definitely recommend to always pick up a second partner, or sorry, a partner in general, just so you can practice your moves on them. But at some point, like little by little, like there if anything, you can also do. My opinion, I feel like you can do also some what we call shadow dancing, where you pretend like she's there if anything, because not everyone might be available, but at least this way you can work on the parts that we can control, which is where the hand might be able to move, where our feet might be able to move. Like we can still control our parts, but yeah, I do agree that it's going to be much easier with another partner.
I mean, to your point, like boxers, right? Boxers, fighters, MMA fighters, they do boxing and shadow fighting, right? Well, because it helps with like memorization and it helps you with visualize your moves, so that way you can do it with your actual person that's going to be in front of you. So yeah, I think that's good practice. Any way you can get some practice is good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me see. Let me think.
Quick question while we're here. You guys have been dancing for 15 years.
Yeah.
Of those 15 years, how long have you guys been actual instructors?
I'm gonna say 13 years.
13 years.
So
I think it was less than that.
yeah, I'm no, yeah. I mean,
I'm not good in math.
It's okay. So roughly,
Like 10, 11 years, something.
no. I think no, because yeah, we started. We had like almost 2 years in before I started teaching my first class. So yeah, if we're dancing 15 years, it's 13 years of teaching.
Okay.
He started teaching first than me. So.
okay,
Yeah.
so roughly
Yeah.
13 years. But other than I'd say good timing and showing up to class, what would you say are the qualities of a good student trying to better themselves, become better dancers, like mentality-wise, or anything you guys can think of in your 13 years?
The first thing is let yourself be coachable. Right? Your mentors, your instructors are telling you based on their experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, listen to them because they're not trying to guide you in the wrong direction. They're trying to guide you to the right direction, so that way you can progress quicker. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like mentorship, it's like a cheat code,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person has done it before you, so they're telling you what's in their opinion the best ways to get there, right? Whether that's 100% the truth or not, they've done it, right? They've done it, so they're just trying to help you get there quicker than they did it.
So, like, for example, we've had students that don't come to social not even a year in. They only show up to class. And
then they come to social, and then
they're like, don't know nada.
they don't know anything.
They don't know nada. But, yeah, it sometimes is like, it's hard to convince everybody that this is the right way. Go to social. Go to social. Go to social. Go practice your move. You have to learn how to drive by yourself. Everybody's different, so yeah.
I feel like another quality it can be is like being self-aware, just like understanding, knowing that you might have possibly messed it up, possibly have messed up my move. I mean, because sometimes like because this is how like in my opinion, I feel like this is how bad habits form. Where if you don't see what you're doing wrong, and then you do it again and keep doing it, you're gonna end up getting stuck in that way, and it's going to be hard to rewire.
Right.
But I feel like being self-aware is like another huge quality that that most good students need to at least, or at least good students that they have, and at least those that can develop it as well. Be self-aware.
That's a good point because I tell Julie now I'm 39 right now, right, and I feel that I am in my growth mindset. I like to call it, right, where I've developed developed myself more in the past year and a half than ever in my dance journey. And that's because I'm more accepting to coaching. I'm more accepting to the mentorship.
I agree.
When you are stubborn and don't take the actual tips that your instructors are giving you or the advice that they're giving you, it takes longer. The point is to get better as fast as you can, right? So if you listen to your coaches and your instructors, you will get there. But it's up to you.
Right. What was like the best advice that was given to you to be a better dancer? I'm assuming like it might, because you say you're on a growth mindset for this year, right? So I'm assuming maybe a piece of advice that maybe was given to you this year.
So it was not that someone gave it to me. It's just I came to a realization that don't use your age or use any excuse as a crutch to not push yourself to get better, right? So sometimes we get in our heads, and then this is everybody. We make up excuses, whatever that is for you, right? And say and we say this, and this is not getting better because of this, or I'm not working on this because whatever excuse you make up in your head. And I just stopped doing that, right? I was like, I'm gonna develop to the best dancer I can be, whatever that comes out to, whatever that what do you call that that thing that they mold, you play with it, I forget what's it called. Pottery, right?
Yeah,
when they do that, they the art at the end, it's whatever they wanted to make it. Well, I'm kind of like that pottery that's just still molding, and I don't know what the end result is going to be, but I know that I'm working on the edges, I'm working on the sides, I'm just making it prettier as I go, or more elegant, whatever that is for me. I don't know. I'm still growing, so I don't know what that looks like. But I'm enjoying the process.
I think it's important to keep a student mentality always.
Oh.
There is no such thing as, oh my God, I've learned everything. There's no such thing. Everybody expresses this dance that we are all learning, that we all learn different. So if you're always walking in, I even tell this to the beginners, to the more advanced students. Stop walking into a beginner class saying, I know this Susie Q. You got to walk in and give it your 100%, your all, even if it's a beginner. So I don't think anybody really said that, but I did give that advice to myself a long time ago. Always keep that student mentality.
Right.
Always learning. So, yeah.
Is there any piece of advice that was given to you, Ryan, that you feel like you should, I guess, pass on the torch?
Advice given to me. Good question. I guess when I started out, right, like I started dancing, I think the thing that really made me start coming, like not only was it like, my drive to become a better dancer, but it was the fact that like I was just in an environment that I wanted to be a part of. So I would say, make friends with the person to your left and to your right, because you never know who you're going to end up dancing with. You might find them in a social somewhere in Miami, wherever you're dancing, and you'll see a familiar face, and you're like, oh, I can pick up and dance with that person. So building a sense of community keeps you in the game longer.
Yeah.
And you need to be learning these small things about like, friendship and camaraderie, because that's what helps you grow to that next level.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very true. I do remember when I first started, I remember when I first started, I went by myself, and I didn't really know anyone until like I started talking to a guy that I was walking up to to the train with because we were in the same class, and then we started to get to know each other, and he was telling me about his experience because we started at the same time. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think if it wasn't for him and a couple of my other fellow students as well, I don't think I would have gone as long as I did. Like that is very true. Like you gotta surround yourself with other people who want to keep going, want to keep growing, because I feel like that's the best way to get better when other people keep raising the bar and you want to keep trying to achieve that bar and keep on going. But yeah, making a very good point.
Competition.
Healthy competition, yeah.
Yeah, well said. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we all need a little healthy competition.
Couldn't said it better.
Yeah. Let me think. Is there any questions you guys have for us?
What's next? What's next? Who you bringing on here? This is our first episode, so by the way, we're honored you guys asked us first. That was really
Of
nice
course,
of
of
you
course.
guys.
It was a no-brainer.
Yeah. Listen, it's gonna be the people who've been there longer than us, and who have been our friends.
So what? Okay, you asked me a question. I'll ask you a question. So, what would be the goal for this show? Like, who's next? Who would love to have on your show? What are some things you would like to get out of the show?
First, definitely the instructors' experiences, like how they see dance, how they what they want, what they vision themselves to be, or what they were before that they are now, vice versa. But eventually, like I want to get it to the point where even students come in, and even like after a month, if they share their experiences or like any huge questions, because here's the thing: when you very first start, you're very curious about everything. Like you're just like, I want to learn this, I want to learn that. You get so hungry for like the next thing that you want to learn for.
Yeah.
That it's the same thing with this. There's a lot of people with a lot of experiences. Like for example, there can be dance moms. There can be people who have gone through tremendous loss, and dance has been there to save their lives, or even like people who juggle their dance life balance, because this can go for a while, but I just want people to know that they're not alone in terms of like what they might be experiencing, or that everyone has a similar but also very, very different dancing journey.
Yeah, I agree with that. What are some things that you think dancing has done for you as far as like a partnership? I like to say dance is like a partnership, where I feel like dance for me has made life so much more enjoyable.
Right.
Something that I can count on every week, something that I can use as a tool for myself to, like meditate, right? For instance. It's a form of meditation in a way, a form of relaxation. So yeah, I think that it's a companion that you're gonna have for the rest of your life once you start learning how to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest. Like I think if it because not to get into too much detail, but I did have a little bit of a rough past in terms of like events that happened to me, but that was no excuse for for me to use it. But anyways, it definitely put me in a better path than what it would have if I didn't go to dance, because I can tell that my mindset wasn't there. It's like I said before, dance makes you happy. Like the amount of people that I've met through this, the amount of friends that I've made, the amount of people I've helped, like you just keep growing from that. Like I love helping out people, so this is my form of like giving back to the community and just teaching the next generation of dancers, because I was that next generation of dancers at some point. We all were. So
Yeah.
You're talking about adding value to someone's life. That's what
Right.
it basically boils down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan?
Right. Can you tell me what the original question was? We went into a lot just now.
Basically, I asked them what has dance done for you as far as like, in your life. How has dance improved your life?
Right.
If you wasn't dancing, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Ooh.
Good one.
That's a very
I think we need a part 2 of this.
Maybe. Dancing did a lot for me personally. I was just, a very quiet, shy person. I normally didn't speak a lot, and I still relatively don't. But But I want to say with dance, I was able to feel like I saved this part of me that where I felt very empty. It's right, you know, we went to school, we go to work, but what do we do in our free time for us that makes us genuinely happy? Like what brings, you know, what makes us smile? What brings us like a shine in our eyes? And when I came to dance and I got better at it, I saw all these other people having fun. And I'm like, oh, how are they having so much fun just dancing? Like that blew my mind. But when you're a part of it, you get to see everyone smiling and it was a good time. And it was the energy of the room that really brought out this openness inside of me. And if I didn't find dance, I actually don't know what I would do in my free time. You know, like it's a question I can't even answer. Yeah. Maybe I would just fill it with more work.
That's not fun.
Yeah, it really is.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Dance is very healthy for the soul. There's this quote, and actually I had to look it up just so I didn't want to say it wrong. But there's a quote that says, "Dance is the hidden language of the soul" by Martha Graham, and that is a very, very true thing because it touches on everything in terms of like mood effectiveness, like what your productivity in your life. Like it really is a healthy balance when you dance a lot more. Like I noticed that like people who don't dance, I mean, they still get by in life, but I'm pretty sure they'd be a lot more happier when they start dancing.
Yeah.
Right? We gotta get a lot more people in here than out there.
There's a lot of people that join, and then once you start talking to them, they tell you their story. It's a lot of people that were coming from a very depressed state, or somebody died in their life, and the first thing that they did, like after a couple of months of that happening, was start a dance class. And they say it saved their life. Or
they survived cancer and they're on their road to recovery. Like there's a lot of things that we've heard over the years, like, you know, that we were like, wow, you know,
we've married a lot of people.
We've also
people that just met in class.
We're also divorced a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've
we've married more than divorced.
No, yeah, we've gone. We call ourselves Cupids. We've
net positive.
Hey, if you're out there and you got married because you met at a dance studio, hit us up. What would they do? Like, let us know, right? Let us know somehow, right?
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
And if we divorced you, let us also know.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We just exposed it.
It was rocky before you joined.
Yeah. We just exposed it.
Yeah, but you know, if anything, send us gifts. You know. Oh man. But any closing thoughts on before we head out?
No, man, this was fun, man. I hope we get invited back on, man. I hope we.
This is definitely gonna be a part two.
Of course,
this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But eventually we're gonna get a lot more things up in here. Maybe even like a banner. Who knows?
Yep.
But yeah, little by little, we're gonna start building up. And
we wish you the best, man. You guys are awesome.
It's always important just to start.
Yeah, that's always the key. Just getting that first step. All right.
There you go. Take your first step. No pun intended.
Wait, you told me I couldn't curse. Can I curse one time? And you do the beep.
Ryan, go ahead.
Why? You, mother. Yeah, there we go. I just wanted to do that.
That was perfect timing. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening in. And if you guys have any questions, or you know, if you guys have any, I guess suggestions for us or for the future panels, or even like just any ideas, you know, just shoot it our way, and we'll definitely make that come to life because there's a lot of people with a lot of experiences out here, and who knows where the journey.
Check out these guys on. Wherever you get your podcast at.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of social media platforms.
Yeah, you guys are gonna kill it.
I think you should do a short podcast in the Congress.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's
one of the rooms.
That's literally what I'm gonna do.
And invite dancers and just ask them 2 questions each dancer, like randomly.
Exactly. Yeah. Oof.
You know.
You hear that, Big? I'm coming for you.
We're gonna have shots. Free drinks. For every question you answer.
Ooh, that's going to entice some of the dancers.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Oh, they're going to love this. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, well, take care, guys, all right?
This is how legends are made.